Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Michael Richman, double board certified cardiothoracic surgeon. So I've seen on social media and have heard directly from many people, including some of you, that they were either cured or a friend was cured from stage 4 cancer without any treatment or after being treated holistically from a naturopath. So I think you'll find today's topic very enlightening because there's data from human studies talking about this very topic. So, in living patients undergoing cancer diagnosis, pathology error rates range from about 2% to 12%, depending on where it's done and what the specimen is. So, in other words, they're wrong. Spontaneous regression of untreated stage 4 cancer is exceedingly rare, occurring in maybe 1 to 2% of patients, with complete remission being even more uncommon, and I can't stress that enough. The literature does document this phenomenon, but emphasizes that it represents an exceptional outcome rather than an expected one. So the data comes from meta-analysis of placebo-armed and randomized controlled trials. So in 2016, for example, a meta-analysis of 7,600 patients with advanced solid tumors received a placebo or nothing and found an overall response rate of 1.95%, with no complete responses observed. So in other words, didn't do anything. A 2023 analysis of 3,800 patients found a pooled objective response rate of 1%, with only 4 patients achieving complete remission. And these studies, what they do is they emphasize that the chances of response without treatment is probably 1% or less, and even in the most optimistic scenarios, maybe 2%. Now you're asking, is there such a thing as spontaneous regression of tumors? And there is, and it does vary by cancer type. So metastatic melanoma shows the highest rate at 0.23%. That's it for complete regression. Now, while there's individual case reports documenting complete remission in metastatic lung cancer, or melanoma with metastasis all over your abdomen, or other malignancies, these remain exceptional cases. And it requires rigorous pathological confirmation, and that's what is lacking. Okay, so when you hear these stories, there's more to the story. Now, what is the natural history of untreated stage 4 cancer? Well, the prognosis is uniformly poor, horrible. For untreated metastatic breast cancer, median survival is 2.5 months. For untreated triple negative stage 4 breast cancer, median survival is 3 months. Stage 4 lung cancer shows 1, 2, and 3-year survival rates of 60%, 20%, and 1.5% respectively with treatment. But these rates are dramatically worse without treatments. 5-year relative survival for stage 4 disease ranges from 4% for lung cancer to less than 15% for colorectal cancer. And these figures include treated patients. So now what are the implications clinically of what I'm telling you? Well, the literature consistently emphasizes that while spontaneous regression is documented across virtually all cancer type, it remains an extremely, extremely rare event, and the studies warn against foregoing conventional treatment in hopes of spontaneous regression, because the figures show that 40% of Americans believe that cancer could be cured completely with alternative treatments alone, which is insanity because it can't, because there's zero evidence and there's almost zero chance of complete regression occurring. And we see this in studies. The documented cases of spontaneous regression involve immune mediated mechanisms, often triggered by biopsy procedures, infections, or other immune stimulation. But these mechanisms cannot be reproduced reliably. So, in summary, while spontaneous regression of stage 4 cancer without treatment is documented in the medical literature, it occurs maybe in 1 to 2% of cases. And as I said, complete remission is extraordinarily rare. The natural history of untreated metastatic cancer shows median survival measured in weeks or months, making spontaneous cure an exceptional, and I can't say it again, exceptional rather than an expected outcome. So with that, hope you learned something today. Thank you so much for listening. For more information, advocacy guidance or consultation, you can go to my website at www.paladinmds.com and have a good day.